Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I'm going to be talking in this video about the James Bond that seems like nobody really cares about. So what James Bond am I talking about? Is it Timothy Dalton? Is it Roger Moore? Is it Daniel Craig? No, it's not an actor. It's not actually one of the James Bond actors. It is a type of James Bond that really seems to get very little attention out there. And that is the animated James Bond. The cartoons, the comic book James Bond. You know, I did a reading with sound effects and music from the movies where I brought these comic books to life. And it got very little views, and it took hours of work to do that. Now, one of the reasons why I'm also bringing this out is because I found a new comic, James Bond comic, and I didn't even know about it. So one day, my son, he was out thrifting. He sends me a picture and says, "Hey, do you want any of these?" Well, one of them was a James Bond comic that I already have. But then I was like, I don't have that. I've never seen that other thing. And here's what it was. It is the James Bond complete Ian Fleming's Goldfinger, the classic comic strip collection, 1960 to 1966. So I'm thinking comic book. That's what I was thinking. This is not a comic book. This is the comic strips out of the newspaper from the 60s. It really amazed me when I saw what it was. I'm new to this, so there's probably many of you that are familiar with this already. I was not. So yeah, there's Goldfinger, October 3rd, 1960 through April 1st, 1961. And so there's kind of a taste of the comic strips. That would have been a week right there, or no, one day right there. There were the next day, day after that. So this is 6 days of comic strip that would have been put out there. And it is the story of Goldfinger. When I say the story of Goldfinger, I'm not saying this is not a comic strip based on the movie Goldfinger. This is based off the book. And when I was looking up information, because when I started reading this, right away, I'm just like, that's the book. That's not the movie. So I did a little research on it, and I was looking it up, and Ian Fleming didn't want to give his rights over for this because he didn't really feel like it was going to do it justice. And but eventually, they convinced him to do it, and there were many years of these comic strips. So here's Goldfinger. Also included in here is Rosico, and what's this? The next one, From a View to a Kill. There is also For Your Eyes Only. The Man with the Golden Gun is in here. That was actually a really good book. I really enjoyed The Man with the Golden Gun, the book. And then The Living Daylights is in there as well towards the end. So now, why am I saying that comic book Bond nobody cares about? Well, if you do a search on YouTube and look up James Bond comic book or anything like that, comics, and that most of the videos that are out there have very little views. Like there were many videos I saw that were talking about either these comic strips or the comic books, and would have like 30 to 50 views per video, and that was after several years of being up. So there's very few channels that seem to really get much attention when it comes, if they ever even bring up the comic books. So yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty interesting, and yet it seems like very few people seem to care about the comic book version of James Bond, and it's a really unique version. So on my channel, I have several comic books that I brought to life. I've added music from the movies, sound effects, and read the characters, read the stories, and I thought they were pretty good, to be honest, but just not a lot of interest out there for it. So I think that's kind of a pity. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a little bit more work. So at the end of this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, I think it was 9 days worth. I'm going to do like just over a week of the comic strip, where I'll see if I can bring it to life a little bit, and just have a little bit of fun with it. But I won't be able to do the whole thing because it really does take a long time to do all the editing and everything to kind of bring these things to life. But I'll do a little bit over a week's worth for Goldfinger, and I think it'll be kind of fun. So we'll see how it turns out. And anyway, appreciate you watching this portion, and yeah, enjoy the comic.
James Bond by Ian Fleming, drawing by John McCluskey. Goldfinger. In Miami Airport's departure lounge, James Bond waits impatiently for the Transamerica departure announcement. Pardon me, but surely it's Mr. Bond? Mr. James Bond? Yes, it is. My name is DuPont. We met in 51. Royal Les Yeux, the night you had the big card game with the Frenchman. Memories crowded in on Bond, the casino, the green bays, his breaking of the chiffre. DuPont had been his neighbor at the baccarat table. Of course, that was quite a night, Mr. DuPont. I've never forgotten it. You'll drink with me, Mr. Bond? I did hear afterwards that you were a kind of, intelligence operative, Mr. Bond. I'm greatly in need of your guidance. I'd be honored to be your host tonight during your stopover in Miami. You see, Mr. Bond, I've got me quite a problem. Bond felt vaguely amused. DuPont's problem would be blackmail, gangsters, or women, some typical rich man's worry. I own a hotel down here, the Fontainebleau. You shall have the best suite. Very kind of you. Don't know how I can help, though. You will, Mr. Bond, you will. I've seen your skill at cards. You ever played two-handed canasta? Have done. It's not much fun. Two equal players must always end up even. Just so. Now, I'm something of a canasta expert, yet this last week I've lost $25,000 in 100 straight games. Impossible. If you've been playing with the same man, you've been cheated. 20 minutes later, Mr. DuPont was opening his role as host to James Bond at the famous Bill's on the Beach. Stone crabs, not frozen, fresh melted butter, thick toast, and 2 pints of pink champagne. The Pommery 50. Silver tankards, right? This man who's been cheating you, Mr. DuPont, you play a game equal to his? Goldfinger, his name is. I'd say about equal. I'm a good player, you know. Regency Club and all that. I've watched him, but I can't catch him at it. Mr. Bond, I'll pay you $10,000 to stay here until you find out how he does it." Bond was interested. He was always interested in anything to do with cards. And then this offer of $10,000 to break a cheating system. Who is this Goldfinger, anyway? What's he worth? He's loaded, but loaded. One of the world's richest, and that's the point. With all his money, why does he want to take me for a lousy 25 grand? If you'll play with Goldfinger tomorrow, I'll see what I can do, but I must leave by nightfall, whether I can help or not. Done? Done! Bond had arranged to meet Mr. DuPont next morning at 10 o'clock. Together, they sauntered across to the Cabana Club. "Here's the key to Goldfinger's suite you asked for, Mr. Bond. Number 200. "Thanks. And don't forget, I'm a business acquaintance. Shares, natural gas, Canada." Is that Goldfinger? What the hell's he wearing around his neck? Polished tin. Helps you with your suntan. Have to shout at him. He's very deaf. "Hi there. Mr. Goldfinger, I'd like you to meet Mr. James Bond. Come down to try and talk me into a bit of business." "Pleased to meet you, Mr. Baum." Bond's first impression of Mr. Goldfinger was a sense of enormous vitality. The man's pale blue eyes stared right through his face to the back of his skull. "You are going to talk business, Mr. DuPont? So no game today?" "What do you mean, no game? I want to get my money back. James here can relax with the paper. I could have played golf today. Do you play, Mr. Baum? My name's Bond. B-O-N-D. I play when I'm in England. My club's the Huntercombe." "Indeed. Mine is the Royal St. Mark's at Sandwich. We will have a game one day. Excuse me, I must get dressed." Mr. Goldfinger makes a much more presentable figure when dressed, Bond decided, though the hearing aid he wore was not an improvement. "All set? You comfortable, James?" "I'm glad of the rest. Been traveling too much." "Well, Goldfinger's no card sharp, and DuPont himself is as good as he said he was. Where does the cheating come in?" Goldfinger won the hand, and the next, and the next. Once DuPont looked like winning, but Goldfinger turned the table suddenly. "I nearly screwed you then. What in hell made you cut and run?" "I smelled trouble." Goldfinger won the first game. Bond decided he had seen enough. It was time to move around. "Well, I think I'll stretch my legs for a bit." "You do that, James. We can talk business at lunch. Be seeing you." He sauntered over the roof to the end overlooking the swimming pool and turned to survey the scene. There's the hotel and my suite, number 1200, on the top floor. So Goldfinger's suite must be right below it, number 200, on the second. I get it. 20 yards above the roof of the Cabana Club. 20 yards from the card table. Yes, that must be it. Clever, Mr. Goldfinger. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little bit of reading of the comic book and going through and reading a little bit of the Bond that no one really seems to care about.